Hello, and welcome to another episode of What I Learned on my MBA today. It's Wednesday, 5th of October, and we're really starting to get into the midst of operations management. We did our first assessed presentation, so assessment for ops management. We have 5 posters, well, essentially 6 case studies, and there's 6 learning groups in the class. So each week, 5 of the groups prepare a poster, and one group does a 15-minute presentation. So we didn't present today, we did the poster on the McDonald's case study that I mentioned yesterday. And this is assessed. It's marked by both the professors and also the class, which is interesting. And the other part of the assessment for that module is an individual essay later in the year. So we're looking forward to that. Still have to figure out which area I want to write it on, and that's before we even start thinking about what question I'd like to cover. So the McDonald's case study was particularly interesting, I think, because one of the things that it pulled out was this idea that McDonald's was suffering from competition from what's termed fast casual. So if you're not familiar with the term, I wasn't, you've got traditional fast food, your sort of burger and chips type thing, very, very typical, limited menu, low price, kind of what you see, what you get. You got you very, you know where you're going to be with it. You know what it does. Whereas fast casual, example given was Chipotle, how do you pronounce it, in the US. That's it though. That's again a fast food place, but they do a bit more exotic food, which I believe you have more customization options, and it's seen, I think, a bit more upmarket and maybe a bit more health conscious than McDonald's. So this is an interesting question of whether McDonald's should or can follow that. So the reason I say can and should as 2 separate things. Firstly, what these fast casual restaurants are offering is the same kind of quick dining, but with more of a focus on customer experience of the meal as an event. Whereas McDonald's is more quick. The customer experience is rapid throughput, if you like, throughput of the customer. The upmarket side, maybe this is just my biases showing, but I'd always got the impression that when I'd heard about places like Chipotle, however you pronounce it, they seem to be fast food for rich people. It's kind of your first world rich fast food place. Certain amount of snobbishness to it, maybe. I don't know if that's really fair. Probably isn't. Whereas McDonald's is, regardless of what they are now, the image that comes to me is when they started out in the 50s, and you had things like your 15-cent burger, and that was how it was advertised. So it was always this very low-cost option, and it's fundamentally a no-frills experience. So if you try to copy that, the fast casual, the more upmarket thing, do you lose something that's key to what you actually are? Obviously, the reason they want to do that is because they believe that there's maybe a hollowing out of the traditional fast food market. The people who would normally have gone to one of these places now will go to somewhere more upmarket. So you've got maybe the very bottom of the market would still go to your traditional fast food, and everyone else won't. So your addressable market's shrinking. So you can see you want to do that, but whether or not you then can whether you'd have to reposition the entire brand around this, and that's quite a challenge in itself. Because people associate McDonald's with certain things, burgers, basically. In fact, do you want fries with that? The thing that comes into most people's minds, along with such derogatory terms as the McJob. Yeah, it's not one of the brands that, it's not aspirational, it's not a luxury, it's not even a fancy sort of brand. It's a very cheap, low end. Can you change that? I'm not sure you really can. I wonder whether, if the McDonald's corporate, as it were, really wants to do that, whether they might not be better off investing in a separate restaurant chain, like actually creating a new brand, rather than trying to shoehorn everything in under the same roof. Because the reason I say that is, if indeed the market is fundamentally changing, you've got different demographics, then trying to persuade those demographics to go to your restaurant doesn't only require telling them, we have this great thing which you will like, you've also got to persuade them that you are no longer this thing that they don't like. And I think that's a lot harder. I'm not sure that you necessarily can. And how much of that old brand actually is reflected as corporate culture, if you like. Even if you do all the positioning, is there still going to be something? There's a great model I saw months back, actually at my when I came for the open day at Henley, and I forget whose model it was, but it was again, it was ops management. It was about how you do things, and it was, you had the plan, the perspective, the people, and something else beginning with P. It's probably the 4P model of strategy. Probably is called the 4P model of strategy, actually. That would be very typical. But it struck me that when you look at something like McDonald's, what you might have is a very embedded, what was perspective, which is to say, this is how we do this thing. And in order to change your entire culture and offering to that extent, I just wonder whether you'd have to change that perspective, and that's going to be hard. Building a new brand obviously isn't exactly easy, but you would be able to invest a significant portion of the McDonald's Corporation revenues, which is still extensive. I believe latest figures I saw was in the ballpark of about 8.8 billion dollars, and quite profitable. So I think they, although it would be a struggle, they probably would be able to. I wonder whether one of the reasons they wouldn't want to do that is because McDonald's was such a ubiquitous brand. And I think that, if anything, what we might be seeing with some of these cases of people saying, yeah, this mass market is dead, I don't necessarily think mass market as such. I think the day of this one dominant, kind of your monoculture type brands, that was a very 50s, 60s thing. I suspect that is something that's finished. So maybe that's something that they really don't want to accept, and even if they know it on some really tactical level, it's very hard to get that into their consciousness. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting case study. It's certainly one that's made me think a bit. That's always good. I finished my personal development assignment in draft form, but that's definitely heading for being ready to hand in soon. That's good news. So, woohoo. And there you have it. As always, I'm Tom, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Let me know if you have any questions, thoughts, comments, anything you want to know about. See you again tomorrow. Goodbye.